Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Hi, I'm John. Welcome to WSTU, Lyon County's Harrington Station. Today, I am with Nono and Alexis.
Hiya.
You want to say hi? No?
Yeah.
And Mr. Frank. Okay, so just getting into the meats and potatoes, as Nono always says, we have Mr. Joe Biden as our 46th president.
Right.
Just happened last night. Well, during the day, but... Okay, so just covering his speech really quick. He really, in my opinion, called for like unity, just like all across the board, racially, just everything. Just like, what did you guys get from it?
I did not see it. We had drama auditions for a good man, Charlie Brown. So oh God, I probably shouldn't be saying this on the radio, but if you want to see it, it's,
promoted. Yeah, go
are we allowed to see it?
Yeah.
Please don't
Shameless
be weird.
plug.
Yeah, please don't come to our school and be weird.
Shameless
But
plugs are always welcome.
shameless plug. But yes, it's at South Fork, and I will most likely probably be Linus. We're hoping.
It's
But-
released tomorrow.
Okay,
the
not to
rules.
brag, but like I totally killed my audition. Not gonna lie, I was like, my blanket and me. Yes, I can sing. All right. Anyways, so yeah, we actually had drama auditions yesterday, and yeah, Alexis is going for Sally Brown.
Yes, I am.
Yep. So, and I'm going for Linus Van Pelt. So we will update you next. Oh, probably not next Thursday, since that will be the first rehearsal. But we'll see. We'll see.
But circling back to the actual topic, it doesn't surprise me that he would be calling for unity in this situation, considering the political climate and the social climate that has existed. Even for those who aren't politically affiliated, but I think there's plenty of social issues to have a stand on at this point in time. And for the last few months, especially since quarantine, COVID, yada yada yada, all the things that have been happening in the world.
Okay, then I guess we'll just get into, for all those who don't know, he's enacted 17 executive orders within the first day, which is, in my opinion, it's almost unfathomable because other presidents take weeks upon weeks sometimes, and this within 24 hours though. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so just getting right into it. He's wanting to rejoin the Paris Agreement. He's basically stopped.
That's the climate accords.
Yes.
For environmental. He also stopped basically wanting the pipeline for the Keystone XL pipeline. Right. It basically run through Canada all the way to the US through
so he threw a lot of people out
stuff,
of work.
And it's not a good situation that happened. Okay. Other stuff that happened. He also mandated masks for federal / transports, et cetera, all that. It's not national mandate, but it's all governmental personnel, basically. He also encouraged a 100-day masking challenge, which is pretty good. He also stopped the building of the wall at Mexico, basically.
Wait a second. There was an actual wall.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either.
Yeah, there's been an actual wall being built.
It gets better than that, okay, because the bid has already been let. The contractor's already, in construction on the wall. Materials have already been purchased. So if they cancel the contract, they still have to pay the contractor.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
And it gets worse. All the materials that they have to pay for those materials too that were already specially ordered for that wall. So
here's the question: what they're going to do with it?
It's
that is definitely a question.
They're not going to store it, so they're going to, it'll be a loss.
Tough.
So it is more expensive, if you follow my track here, to cancel it than to go ahead and finish the job.
Absolutely.
And that was what the decision that was made.
Which is more likely than not simply an act to kind of show how against it's more of a social decision
Yeah,
than
absolutely.
an economic. It's
It-
than like any
Mhm.
other decision.
Now, how about all the folks that are coming up through Honduras and Guatemala that are marching up this way? You've been following that?
No.
Only
Mhm.
I'm aware that it's been happening, but only vaguely.
There is a caravan of people that are heading this way
Mm.
because of the new administration, and they said, "Okay, saddle up."
Mhm.
So there you go.
Speaking, and wasn't it one of the enactments had something to do with immigration from certain places?
Yeah.
It reversed
Yep.
Yes.
reversed
Yeah.
immigration policies that made it
Mhm.
more strict
Mm.
under
Yeah.
the Trump administration.
Well, more culture and more influx of ethnic food for us.
I think the biggest fear with the kind of policies that Biden has and plans on bringing to the table is that they're expensive, and there definitely needs to be a way to compensate for that, which I'm sure he will at least attempt to do. And if not, that would be kind of ignorant
Ooh,
on his part. But
it's
we'll have to wait.
interesting.
He's been president for like a day.
It's
So-
interesting that you bring up money because
Oh goodness.
Oh, is this leading in?
Here we go.
we
Are we leading in?
we shall John you
Segue,
shall
me,
you'll,
segue.
Okay.
no you'll continue on, but then we'll get into the money later. We'll get
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
look
you
forward to
continue.
it then. Okay, so continuing on, he also ended the Muslim travel ban,
Yes.
which was interesting, in my opinion,
Mhm.
because okay, he also reinstated DOCS, which is Defiant Action for Child Immigrants, and it basically lets child immigrants stay in the U.S., which is it's pretty good. They also included non-U.S. citizens in the census, which makes sense because they're already here.
Yeah.
If it makes sense that way a little bit.
It helps with like allocation of resources and like et cetera, et cetera. It makes it also easier to track. It makes it easier to track things if like a huge chunk of your population isn't being recorded. Not only can you not compensate financially, but also socially if you're trying to make decisions, considering that a majority of those people who aren't being tracked are of like typically not obviously not all of them, but a huge majority tend to be of like foreign cultures who aren't necessarily like very what's the word I'm looking for?
present.
Yeah, very present in
Mhm.
like the US norms and culture. Along with the fact that if you're not being recorded, it's very easy to be manipulated financially, being hired under minimum wage, being paid under the table because that's the only job you can find.
Well, all I can add is simply that I'm a huge advocate for bridging connections. And if people are worried or scared about this influx of immigration or immigrants from other countries, such as, I guess, the Middle East, where I'm pretty sure the Muslim is that
Yeah.
culture is from,
Mhm.
or Honduras or wherever, just learn about the culture, learn about the values, build a connection. Because I think the real problem is that, and this is speaking to all types of immigrants, honestly, is that they come to America and people judge them, and they don't have a home here because they have yet to establish one. So they're bringing pieces of their own home here, and what they're often met with is this hard American, no, you're not from this country, so you can't. So just learn about the culture, be an
Absolutely.
advocate, bridge connections, understandings. Yes. Peace, love. Anyways, continue on.
Okay, so one of the last major notable ones is he's basically trying to reverse the process of leaving the World Health Organization. So
Who?
Wait, leaving what?
oh my gosh.
Oh.
Oh gosh, that no.
Oh,
not again.
Wow, that took me way longer than it should have.
I love that.
I've heard that joke before, and that took me like 3 seconds. That was terrible on my end of like
So-
processing that.
So leaving the World Health Organization, and
Mm-hmm.
this might sound a little snarky on my end, but wait. What does the World Health Organization provide for us? Again,
It's just a way, isn't it? It's just like universal,
Yeah.
not universal, but it's a way that we
It's
can all be on the same
more
page on
global.
like
okay, never mind.
global
It's
health,
supposed
global.
to be information sharing. You're exactly
Yeah.
right. So the big knock, the reason why the Trump administration had kind of pulled away, is because the World Health Organization, because they received a lot of pressure from China about the Wuhan virus.
Yes.
And the naming, it was originally named the Wuhan virus. Then it was called something else. And then they decided, there was the Spanish flu and the
Yes.
German measles. So there's a reason why things are named after, because these were generally accepted norms of where these things seem to have began. But the Chinese government was against that. And so it became, instead of the Wuhan virus, it ultimately is now referred to as COVID-19, as opposed to, anyways, it's, but so they were against that. So they leaned on the WHO to kind of parrot out the communist propaganda line. And then WHO, rather than saying, we're just the World Health Organization, we're just going to talk about health as we see it. They said, oh no, okay, we're going to allow the Chinese government to tell us what to say. And so the Trump administration took exception to that.
I do think it's interesting because looking at this might be renewed policy or it might not be, considering that the two illnesses you named are rather old. At least, they're rather old. Looking at modern World Health Organization guidelines.
That's the norm,
Yeah, for what's the word? Everyday use of naming things like that. But it is against World Health Organization guidelines to use the names of places and titles of diseases and pandemics and things.
And when did that start?
I honestly, I don't know when the policy was enacted.
Right. And so it's a more recent policy and that's the rub.
Exactly.
But that could also be a representation of our just culture as well.
Well, we got the cancel culture, but we've got people telling us what to think about things. As opposed
that's always
to
the case.
But it's also
but
they also say calling it the Chinese virus or things like that also fueled the xenophobia that occurred during the whole the whole massive globalization and pure chaos and confusion of when this happened.
Absolutely.
So that is where I feel
the big knock was we can all agree that's likely where the epicenter is for the beginning of this virus, right?
Yeah.
So the Chinese government, although there was a Chinese doctor who saw one of the early cases, and he had run it up the flagpole to the superiors. He says, there is a problem here. And they says, no, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. And within weeks, it got out of control. And when he went public with that and the information got out, the government put him in jail for a while. And then they say, you got to go to work because we need all hands on deck. He got the virus and died. But when he first saw that virus, he says, well, this kind of reminds me of SARS. And it is in the SARS family.
Yes, it's in the family. It's like a cousin.
And so, and how that, there's a fascinating background history to this stuff. So there was a ward of patients in this Chinese hospital that had more malaria patients, that was part of their health background, and they were on hydroxychloroquine, and those people were actually responding better to the Wuhan virus than other folks that weren't on the hydroxy. And so he also mentioned that. And so they were studying that. They thought that was fascinating. So they actually, as part of their course of treatment, they were actually treating the patients with hydroxychloroquine early on because it's, well, look at that. But anyways, so it was just kind of interesting so since that's the epicenter, it's not inappropriate to refer to it in that manner.
Absolutely.
There should be nothing else taken away from it other than this was the epicenter of where it came from. There was a concerted effort by the Chinese government to tamp down that information. Many people, all that took place during the Chinese New Year, when people from all over the world come back to China, to have their celebration for the Chinese New Year, and then they go back. So we got all this air travel, millions upon millions of people coming in and out, spread the virus. And then the China government says, oh, well, wait a minute, maybe there's a problem here. And so, but it was a little bit too little too late. And that's what the Trump administration really was railing about early on.
Well,
and you can go.
Okay, well, I remember when it all first started. As I remember, like, hearing stories of how Wuhan was this deserted wasteland and people were dropping dead in the streets because of the intensity of this virus. I get it. I understand, the history and how you wish to uphold it. Respect your opinion. It's just, given our culture, we are the more sensitive ones out of everybody else. So simply, times are changing. You have to respect the people. Just calling it the Chinese flu, in my opinion, I feel like it is a kind of offensive, especially to those within the Asian community. And it's simply because it was also used in a way to almost degrade, be like, it almost put blame, like this. Well, of course there should be blame, but almost it kind of fueled it in a way, like, oh, you Asian people, this is it's all your fault. That's why it's the Chinese flu.
This is a government on government problem.
Absolutely. But then as soon as the name took to the streets, it then becomes a social issue with the way that we have become accustomed to interpreting names, naming conventions, the way when we hear China, we don't think of government affairs, we think of our neighbor, or like our potential neighbor. I'm not, like, obviously, you know what I mean. But we think of like people we see on a day-to-day basis potentially, because we have that mixing pot of cultures. So saying things like the China virus or the Wuhan virus, it immediately, rather than thinking, oh, it's for, especially like people who don't go out and educate themselves, people who simply hear news passing by or just watch like one news channel, they hear Wuhan virus or Chinese virus, and they go like, oh no, my neighbor's Chinese, just out of instinct. And
Chinese
obviously that's wrong. And then like a bunch of like Chinese immigrants who have been here and haven't left the country started facing backlash because of xenophobia, and their businesses started suffering immensely along with every other business, but theirs more so than the others because of this xenophobia. So if, like, in my opinion, if we're going to use those kind of titles, it needs to be like
separation.
It needs to be emphasized, like the purpose of the naming convention. And especially since it's really easy to like jump the gun, especially like social media and like with everyone online, you can immediately go and be like one person makes up or one person posts, whether it be a real story or fake story of them getting it from someone who is Chinese, and suddenly everybody's afraid of their neighbor. And that's the kind of situation that needs to be avoided, because names can be so important and so impactful in how people react to things.
Good call. Yeah. John, you want to add anything?
Well, I'm just going to interject really quickly with our phone number. If you want to call in and then kind of just argue, debate, do whatever with us, it's 220-WSTU, 220-9788.
Anything else on the new 17 policies?
That's about it.
Okay, well then we shall go into this one tweet that I have, because I totally procrastinated and just looked it up. So I do not spend all my life on social media. It is the Twitter, the people's thoughts and opinions. What about you? Here's one from @AliciaSmith987. Goodbye, Donald Trump. You're literally just a Florida man now. Good morning, America. Biden's America. Feels so good to have an adult in the White House again. We're no longer being led by an incompetent wannabe authoritarian. I'll leave that one for you all to call in, because since John just dropped the number for us. And if you heard if you were listening previously, Alexis mentioned something about Biden's financial situation. Well, not situation, but
Just
the
finances
whole
in general.
finances in general. Ooh, I found this very nice article that actually had citations, which I totally appreciate, that mentioned some history around his financial background, or more of the way he handled finances, which is interesting. But before we get into that, we have a caller.
Yeah.
Hello, caller.
Hello.
Stand by.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. We got John from Stewart's on the line. Go ahead, John.
What do you want me to badmouth, Trump or Biden?
Let's not badmouth. Let's have
Yeah, let's.
what values.
Constructive criticism. How about that?
Or speak. What values do you think are going to influence our country within the next 4 years?
Well, let me say this about Biden, which I voted for, and I voted against Trump twice. Anyway, he wants to give 13 million illegal aliens citizenship. And that's just wrong. That's just going to encourage more illegal aliens taking American jobs. And that's just wrong.
I have a question.
Sure.
What jobs would these immigrants be taking?
Well, how about construction?
Okay.
I got a nice home
Mhm.
on 10 acres, and I did it by being a construction worker.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Most people of my generation do not value hard work. They'd rather sit around and do YouTube and social media and not value education. While I think the American jobs that we have are fair game. If you, as an American who was born here with the opportunity to work hard and make your way up through the social ladder, such as starting within places such as construction, if you don't take chances of those type of opportunities, but get mad of an immigrant for coming to the country and taking advantage of that, I don't think that's something to be put as blame onto them.
I don't blame them, but I blame Biden now because he wants to give 13 million of them citizenship, and that will just encourage more of them to come and take American jobs.
That's definitely something that's been discussed a lot.
I mean, law. Don't you believe in law and order?
I definitely
Did you know it's illegal to knowingly hire an illegal alien, but nobody's enforcing it?
No, then that's the biggest problem, which is why like a lot of people are under the belief that granting these people citizenship wouldn't be a problem, which like it would be an issue purely because of what you're saying. Like one person does it, everybody does it, like we said last time on the show, and it's definitely like a very debatable topic. I think it should because the process to gain American citizenship is absolutely it's a very arduous process for better or worse, and the biggest reason that the people who come to the country, whether legal or not, are able to take jobs, specifically illegal immigrants, it's easier for people to it's cheaper rather for people to illegally pay them under the table while they are legal.
Yeah,
because
it's wrong.
It's very wrong.
It's wrong
on both sides.
But the life that they have though is a lot harder. Therefore, you can't blame them for grasping.
I don't blame them. I blame my president that wants to give 13 million of them citizenship. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm blaming the president.
It's hard.
And you know why? Let me tell you why. I think, I've been following politics and I've been fighting illegal immigration all my life. Mm-hmm. I had an illegal alien get my job. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the Democrats like illegal. They want to give the amnesty to illegal aliens because they're going to vote Democratic. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of Republicans that like illegal aliens because they work cheap. They're businessmen.
Yeah,
So we just have some moderate Democrats and Republicans that care about the United States of America. Did you know we give 1 million immigrants citizenship every year?
Wow.
That's a big amount. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, we do it. We're the most generous country in the world. We don't have to give amnesty to these lawbreakers that come across the. You know, there's a whole bunch of Mexican women, South American, Central American women down around San Diego, and they're pregnant, and they sneak in just in time to give the baby. As soon as they have the baby, it's called an anchor baby.
Yes,
yeah, I'm
yes.
familiar with this.
They get to stay in the United States because if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen.
And that's
And
another
so the
big
baby's
issue.
a
Yeah.
citizen.
So I have one question for you.
Sure.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but this is all we'll have time for you for.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got another
what-
caller.
So, seeing how passionate you are, what solution would you have to combat this?
Combat illegal immigration.
Yeah, so you recognize the problem within the new Biden administration. So if we as the youth were able to come together and sort of maybe form an organization, a protest, something that could possibly promote change to this issue that you have, what solution would we be able to present in order to bring that change?
We need to light a fire under the president and your elected officials to send the border patrol into these companies that are, be more,
All right. Yeah.
Abide by the laws. They're not doing it. They're
There's plenty of
ignoring it.
laws
Like
on
I
the
said,
books,
the
John is
Democrats
saying.
want
Absolutely.
more voters voting for Democratic, and the Republicans want cheap labor.
Okay.
And then the little guy gets, we got a lot of unemployed people.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
your time.
Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you for the time.
All right,
Bye.
next caller. Whoop whoop. Hello,
Okay,
caller.
go ahead. You're on the line.
Hello.
Hey,
Mr.
know.
Bob.
I sort of like I'm not
Oh, no,
understanding
it's not
something
Mr.
here. The
Bob.
last caller that
Oh.
called in
Yeah.
is complaining about the Democrats letting all these illegal aliens in them. And did he say he did not vote for Trump, or he did vote for Trump?
He did not.
Yeah, I believe you did not.
What the hell was he thinking when he voted for Biden? You think he's gonna?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I
well,
don't know if you can be that ridiculous. I mean, don't sit there and whoa, and you voted for the guy? Suck it up, dude.
Oh, I.
Yeah, that
Okay, I have one.
my only regret, caller, is that we did not have the
Oh.
opportunity to have you talk directly to John
yeah.
on the air. I cannot link the
Yeah.
phone set.
Yeah.
I was sitting here listening to that phone call going,
Mhm.
I must have heard that wrong. He
No.
didn't know
No.
and
so-
he hates illegal immigration and all this immigrants coming in.
Let's-
You wait till
let's-
Trump, what Biden does when he opens up the floodgates down there around Mexico and lets all these Guatemalans in. You just wait.
Well,
Our COVID virus is going to go straight over the edge. If there's any of us alive at the end of Biden's term, well, I guess he'll keep his people alive, but you know what I'm saying. Oh my
I am
God.
so happy that you brought this up because it is something that I've seen when researching why people do not want to vote in like future elections, and especially in this one, because most of the problems or most of the issues that we have within our country cannot be placed under Democratic or Republican or liberal or this or whatever name that they have. And the problem is that our voting system forces you to vote for either one. So if, let's say, my beliefs are garnered more towards Democratic, yet like our last caller had a problem with immigration, it's a give or take. I'd rather have more of what I want to see within the country, sacrificing one of those issues that I have, and vote for that and possibly see that change in the future, rather than vote for something opposing that only agrees with that one issue that I have.
Right. You're talking about single issue voters.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So it's that concept, and it's a major flaw. I'm kind of happy that you brought that up because it's complicated. It really is. But does it
bother people that the Chinese Communist government gave Biden's son how many millions of dollars? Does that not bother anybody? I mean,
I don't
think about that for a second. Now he's president. I need all the stuff that Trump did that's taxing us now. needs to come off. Because, oh, do you remember that? I gave your son $100 million. That's coming. And if you don't think it's coming, and you want to know something else, I don't understand how every 4 years we all become racist.
We all become racist.
Yeah, we're all racist.
Yeah. I'm happy you brought this up too, because really quickly, but race is always brought up, especially with Black people. And I would like it to change to people of color, because there's not only Black people in this country anymore, especially if immigration is a problem, because we have everything.
Anybody run a race about anything?
Yes, race.
You get up in the morning, you comb your hair, and you brush your teeth the same way I do.
That is true.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There ain't no difference. You may be a lot prettier than I am, but this crap of pushing that in our face, and
that is true. I agree.
On national TV,
I agree.
And pounding it. You know, it's like you're gonna make it happen, dude.
I agree.
You know,
absolutely.
We got another caller.
You know, there's no reason for that. I don't like the way the sun come up today. You're a racist. That's why. What's that got to do with the sun?
Hey,
you know,
I hate to cut you off. Call in next week, please.
Please call back.
Please call in next week.
Thank you so much for your
Call in. Bye. Hello.
All right, you're on the air.
Hello.
Oh, awesome!
Oh my goodness!
Hi.
Yes. Hello for calling. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. I kind of want to just throw out a third perspective.
Oh, please do.
Please
do.
On all the immigration.
Please do.
We'll start with almost all the people, not almost all, but a sizable portion of the people that are in the country illegally did not cross through the borders. They come on legal visas and overstay their visas.
Yes, exactly.
That's very true.
Yes.
And those are Europeans, not Guatemalans. So, in general, just so we're on the same sheet of music and we stop spreading around perpetual myths and, not facts. Would be the easiest way to say that. The second part to that is I have yet to meet an American that has an opinion about illegal immigrants. I grew up in Miami in nothing but immigrants. My entire life was just nothing but immigrants. And what I've never heard somebody say, and I have been to a lot of weird, funky places like Honduras, like Cuba, and I've never heard somebody say that places like Guatemala and Honduras and these countries that are sitting in the middle of Central America, and Nicaragua, El Salvador. I went to San Pedro Sula in Honduras. I got out of the plane and I took a cab to the city, which is quite a hike from one valley to another. But to make a long story short, all the land was owned by international corporations, which are actually U.S. corporations with just, hiding behind international tax codes so that they don't have to pay taxes. And they were all names that I know, like Chiquita and Del Monte and, all the names that we know here. So, I mean, a different perspective is these people are milling around in their own countries. They think they have a country, but in all honesty, our country, our businesses own all their good land.
Oh, most definitely.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And, we don't ever say that.
Oh.
And I'm going, okay. And then absorbing 13 million, 11 million, 17 million into 330 million. I understand that's a sizable number, but they're here. They've been here. I mean, if you've ever lived in Miami or in Queens in New York, and I mean, there's nobody that was born in the country in those places. The neighborhood I grew up in was 93% immigrant.
Wow.
And that's just a reality.
Yeah, it is
and
true.
they're not going to go away. And I understand law, and I understand law and order when it works for whoever's in power or whoever's saying whatever, and those are very convenient terms to say. I haven't seen law and order, quote unquote, in our government in decades. So
fair point.
You know,
That's fair
I
point.
really would like try to caution people from throwing around words that are, terms of convenience. But there are whole different perspectives that we need to consider. I mean, forever we imported intelligentsia, and we're still doing it. We didn't do it under Trump, but because he cut back on those visas. But we've been importing intelligentsia because we refuse to do math and science as Americans. So I understand the guy pleading for construction jobs. God bless him. I get it. Because I've worked with my hands most of my life, even though I'm college educated. There are other problems. I mean, we import, a whole mess of people from all around the globe that care about math and science. And, we don't ever say that.
That's true.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy that you brought up this perspective, since I'm from Haiti. So a lot of things I hear, because when I was younger, I was less mature, and when I went to Haiti, I had such a terrible experience when I went there. So I would always say, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. And something that was always brought up to me is like, oh no, there's all sorts. There's white people there who own businesses and they have houses and they do this. And I think there was even something with the Clintons who own like a mansion over there. So I forgot about that. How yes, we like Americans do go over and I guess almost like colonialize these other countries as well. So thank you for that perspective.
It's like a strange modern version of imperialism where we don't technically own them, but we still have influence in like there because of businesses and things. It's like it's for better or worse. That's the case, and it's interesting.
I often say, so the British invented all the bad ideas that we used for decades and centuries past, and then we perfected it.
Ooh, I like that. All right. Well, sorry to kick you off. Thank you for the wonderful conversation. I appreciate it so much.
I like calling you all.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Next week.
Call back. Thank you so much.
You all take it easy.
Bye.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Very good. Take one more topic. They're doing something on the computer at the mothership at the office, so I can't go to commercials. So, now we can.
All right.
Wow.
Well, we shall see you in
timing.
a few minutes.
Okay. Well, the mothership approved, and
All
we'll be right back. Catch you all on the flip side.
And we'll be right back.
guys, welcome back to WSTU 1450, Marin County's Heritage Station. We just got back from our break, and Noyana, would you like to take it away?
Oh my goodness, thank you everybody for calling. I
Thank you
think
so
I'm gonna
much.
go to school and scream about it tomorrow. And I will make all of you, I will honor every single one of you tomorrow in front of everybody. I will tell all the drama people, all my teachers, all my friends, thank you for calling. That was the best thing ever. Thank you. But continuing on. Actually, I'm going to hand it over to Alexis.
Oh,
Who
okay.
wanted to speak about something?
So, before I mentioned, and we didn't transition at the time because we didn't want to get too off track because we were going to talk about it now, but something that a lot of people have been discussing in regards to Joe Biden's presidency is the whole controversy that came up with the Hunter Biden situation, which I did a little bit of research, but honestly, it's a very convoluted situation, especially now that he is president. And they're discussing his policies and things more than that, because like technically, like the peak of it has passed. It's still like, I'm pretty sure it's still being investigated, if I'm not mistaken. But like the peak of it has passed, so it's not really being discussed. So it's like you have to like dig a little bit to find information.
The committees that were investigating, so when they swear in the new Congress, there's going to be new committee chairs, and the committee assignments will all change. So that may get relegated into the the circular file.
Yeah, probably. And because I didn't know a lot about this, because like I spent during like the peak of kind of like the influx of like information and chaos during all the campaigns and things, it was difficult for me to find any reliable information. So as all I know is that, which you told me, Mr. Frank, was that there was a situation where like Biden was assisting.
I got you. So apparently, Vice President Biden met with his son's business partner Devon Archer at the White House, and 5 days later, Vice President Biden visited the Ukraine, and he soon after described in the press as the face of the public administration's handling of Ukraine. That the day after his visit on April 22nd, Archer joined the board of Burisma, which is like a part of this. I'm assuming this
Burisma is their power utility company.
The company. And then so a whole bunch, there was like a lot of protests and all this other stuff. And then
there was a judge that was investigating Burisma that was doing illegal activities. And Biden came there, I guess, with some administrative, some money from the Obama administration.
Yeah, this was during his vice presidency, by the way.
During his vice presidency. And he said, he says, if you don't fire this guy who is this judge that's investigating Burisma, you won't get that money.
Oh, Zaleski?
Zaleski. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And they did, in fact, fire him. So that was interesting.
And they're saying that, like, the Chinese government was also in it, which is why... Well, there's also more stuff with, like, the Biden-China thing, but
there
were some business arrangements with separate, and this is nothing to do with Burisma and Ukraine, but there was some other business dealings. So there were more questions than answers.
Absolutely. That is definitely true, because I couldn't find any answers. Trying to do research on my own, it was mostly just a lot of questions. And you found an amazing resource that
let me give citations, because we're not fake out here. We actually trying to give the news. It is, if you look up Hunter Biden, Burisma, and corruption, I'll just say the link, since this is a PDF, and it's actually a finance report. So this is like an executive report that was done on this from the U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, and the link is hsgac.senate.gov/imo/media/doc/hsgac_finance_report_final.pdf. Yes, there are my citations, and it's pretty in depth. So
it is a financial report. So it is good that it's in depth, and it's interesting, because something that I like first hearing about it and not knowing the extent of the situation or like all the details, my first thought is, why do we care about what his son does? And I'm realizing now that like his son does have a foot in political affairs, and in like financial affairs and business affairs. So it makes sense that we would be concerned about his son now.
The thing is, the son has absolutely no business knowledge about the oil company in Ukraine to sit on their board to get paid like $1 million or several million dollars. He doesn't have the skill set to justify that board position, and that's the big knock.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because my main thought at first was like, why, when it comes to a president, why are we concerned about his son? But that does make a decent amount of sense now.
Right.
Well, my thought process was because I'm looking at this article that kind of goes in depth into Biden's financial, like the way he handles finances in the, or at least in the past, is that it looks very suspicious on his part that he would get involved with such affairs, especially with the company within a different country, I should say, with his son, and go through, and I'm pretty sure there was like a bribe, and there was this huge bribe, and it occurred on December 14th. Let me find it. I apologize. Well, while I'm looking for it, there was this huge bribe that occurred in order to get that judge fired, and it's like, why would you go to this extent? And if you're willing to go to the extent, how far are you willing to go to get what you want, or to benefit those who, I guess, are in favor of you, since I'm assuming his son is in favor of him.
Yeah.
And to go into a little bit more extent, according to this article, from The Guardian, it says, first, Biden's support for finance over working class Americans. His career was bankrolled by the credit card industry. He delivered it for spearheading a bankruptcy bill that made it harder for Americans to reduce their debts and helped cause the financial crisis. So this crisis was something about students or adults who were unable to pay their student debts, and it was actually like a lot of money, and it was like don't think the article's being exaggerated when they talk about financial crisis. Like,
it's definitely not. It's a lot of money.
It was like 13, 14 million, trillion. It was like in the trillions, and I was like, snap.
It's strange because I remember distinctly hearing that Biden planned on helping alleviate student loan debt.
Yeah, for 2020.
For 2020,
right?
for this year.
So
that was old policy, and now his new policy is like seemingly contradicting that. Which is it's almost as if he's trying to make up for past legislation that he realizes now is definitely a mistake.
Yeah.
Which obviously, learning from past mistakes, that's a good thing.
Exactly, comes from change. Yeah. So I just, it's, of course, we're not cancel culture. We don't look up people's past and then use it as something against them to degrade their means of growth, process, and change. But again, I'm just going to go on a little rant here. Why is it? I just want to know what values are going to be enforced within our American society in the next 4 years. I cannot tell you what values were enforced the last 4 years. So, and that's not belittling Trump and his presidency. I'm just saying, like, overall, the American culture, us as a whole, without the government or with the government influence, what were the values that really came through, especially within 2020, that strengthened us as a nation? What were the things that we stood by? And I guess during the virus, we did have a lot of unity, such as volunteering and like healthcare workers. My mom is one of them, and people in my family as well. They definitely did their part to help out, and my mom still is. So, we're just trying to wonder. We're just trying to see, what values are going to shine in the next 4 years. I can actually remember, because if I do come back here in the next 4 years, I'd like to be able to give a recount of those.
For sure.
Nice. Recap. Huh?
Yeah, recap, not recount. Oops.
Yeah.
But
that'll be another election. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no. But we might be the ones calling in. We won't be in high school anymore by the time the next election runs around. We'll be having voted at that point.
That
which
is
kinda,
true.
That's so weird to think about, especially since because of my birthday specifically. It's really weird in the school system. So I'm going to graduate at 17 rather than 18.
That's not weird. You're just an early birthday.
Yeah,
person.
it's like very like right on the cutoff date. So like I'm gonna wait another year and then I'll be able to vote. And it's gonna be weird coming back here being able to do that.
Upon
Yeah, I'm an August baby, and I graduated at 17.
Yeah.
Boo! November babies for the win because
Yeah.
I have to wait until I'm 18.
My son's a November baby, so
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Sagittarius unite. Anyways, really quickly, I have a question. So you said voting. So I'm assuming you do plan to vote in the future.
But the thing is, like, not affiliated with any particular party is like the biggest struggle. Is that like I don't consider myself like affiliated with any other party, but it is something to consider. Like, I think voting is better than not voting because I'd rather have a voice than like omit completely. It seems a little strange.
Really? Well, you know what? We'll just see. We'll come back to this.
We'll come back to this.
Yeah, we will. Anyways, stay safe out there, John. Please wrap it up.
Well, that's it for this week. Tune in next week for more stuff of this sort.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for listening. Have a great evening.